Hi there, I'm Stefan from Animation, and this video is gonna be a bit different. I am inviting you to tag along while I animate a few seconds of the fan animation Ocean Wide Canyon Deep. Before we begin, a small warning for people who dislike repetitive and stuttering sounds. This is not going to be the most agreeable for you. Here we go!
Okay, we go. Ready? Mm-hmm.
I think of you.
This is the part of the song I'm animating today. It's really short and the reference doesn't match the song on the album, so but for my purpose it will do. I have already prepared the scene, my actor's in position. It's now time to animate. How this works is I have a 3D model of Jacob in which I put a skeleton that I manipulate to make the model move. This is called a rig, and rigging is a time-consuming process that I do once, and then I don't have to move the character ever again, just the bones, a bit like a puppet. I'll start trying to match the overall chest motion. Jacob is first breathing, exhaling, while singing, and he has a very characteristic way of moving his body while singing as well. This is what I'm looking at, while rotating his body, letting his shoulders rise and fall to mimic his breathing. Some of this is copying, some of this is interpreting, because my model is not anatomically accurate, and sometimes you want the motion to be readable more than subtle. For the head, I try to change perspective to better match the reference. Perspective matters when matching animation to footage. When you only have a 2D view of the subject, you may make problematic mistakes by trying to trace a body position that is just not possible. Once I have a rough general animation matching, I start animating the opening of the mouth. In a very counterintuitive fashion, my skeleton allows me to move Jacob's mouth but not his facial expressions, so that is taken care of in all other manner. This is mostly because building a whole facial rig for animation is rather outside of my comfort zone, so I make do with what I know, which should be the subtitle of this whole behind the scenes, right? Stefan from Lay Animation, making do with what he knows. Finally, I use mouth shapes to try to match as much as I can Jacob's use of his mouth. This sometimes requires to adjust the jawbone's motion to better match the finer shapes of the lips. Now that feel like the mouse is moving okay, I'm finessing the timing of the head motion, making finer and finer adjustments. I also try to take into account his body position from the previous shot to get a smoother cut, which means getting from the first position into the reference motion more smoothly. Once I've mostly matched the timing, I'm going to animate the facial expressions. To that end, I don't use the bones to move the face any longer. I'm using a morphing technique that in the background is mixing various facial expressions I previously modeled. And I tend to start by animating his blinking because it usually informs a lot of the ways the face looks as well as the position of the eyebrows. What you saw here is only a small fragment of the animation process. Even on this shot, on this character, I spend a lot more time animating his body for the narration of the animation and then animating the rest of the set. Visual effects like cloth simulation for the shirt, the falling snow, the moving clouds, the grass waving in the wind, the fire camp burning, etc., etc. I think of you. All in all, for a 10-second shot, I spent more than 10 days, about 100 hours, building the set and animating other pieces. This is why it's taking me too long to complete the animation. On top of, this is just something I can do during my free time, so, you know. I hope you have enjoyed this format, and let me know in the comments if you have questions or you want to see more. I thank you for your attention, and I see you next time.